criminal defense attorney, Jeff Jacobovitz, who's with us right now to talk more about this. I'm going to put up two examples, and Joe did a great job of going through this, but I want to go to the transcript and show what the prosecution was saying. Then we'll talk about the defense and their closing arguments. First, I thought it was interesting how the prosecutor talked about the people who were in the gallery. You know, the First Lady's been there for just about every day, I think, except for one, saying people sitting in the gallery are not evidence. You may recognize them from the news, but respectfully, none of that matters. Your decisions can only be based on evidence. And let me go right to the second screen there on this requirement for proof on a specific day. Quoting again, the United States is not required to prove drug use on a specific day. There's no requirement for the United States to prove drug use in the month of October. What do you make of that, Jeff? Because as Joe said, they were saying, we know he used drugs 2 weeks before he bought the gun and 2 weeks after. We don't have to prove it on the specific day.
Well, it really gets down to what Hunter Biden was thinking. Did he knowingly violate the law and not fill out the form properly? Because drug addicts don't always think they're drug addicts, and he's had treatment, and it could be that he used drugs 2 weeks before and 2 weeks after, or sometime over that time period, but he didn't consider himself a drug addict. And so when he filled out the form, he was not knowingly misstating what he should be stating. And you know, we have a situation here, Connell, where you have jurors who have said that they have alcoholism, they have drug addiction in their families, and there's going to be a lot of sympathy for Hunter Biden. And I think one thing Abbe Lowell is shooting for is a hung jury, not necessarily an acquittal, but if you convinced one or more of these juries, of these jurors, that he didn't knowingly commit the crime, then you have a hung jury.
There's the jury, female juror number one, sister's a recovering addict. You see that on there. There are other jurors. Juror number four, a female juror, says pot smokers should be allowed to own guns. Juror number 8, right underneath that, a male brother arrested on drug charges. Juror number 5, left side of the screen, male, had to go to AA after having a DUI, and there's, you know, another juror with alcoholic family members, on and on. So you're saying those are the particular jurors, and on the tablet that I have in front of me, we can put up the charges as Jeff answers this that Hunter's facing, and you know, you're talking about, this is the form. We've talked so much about it, lying on this ATF form. What was his state of mind? So to your point, Jeff, you're saying it's tough to get to that state of mind, even with the lawyer arguments today.
I agree, Connell, and I think the government is going to have a tough time proving this case to 12 jurors. It's a crime that is not frequently brought. Usually there's an armed robbery attached to it or something much more serious. And here we are, and I think that the government will have a problem.
Interesting. But you don't think they can go across the board?
You can't just avoid the fact that the First Lady is in the front row. People see that.
Right.
Jurors like to see family support at trials, and having his family there and putting his family on the stand. Who knows how a jury will react to that? I
thought it was interesting, you know, even though you think maybe there's some reasonable doubt, it might not be among all 12 jurors. And then it's kind of like deja vu where we're talking about the possibility of a hung jury, which we talked about didn't happen in the Trump trial, of course. Let me go to the defense and the quote of the argument that you laid out that they were making. Here's how, this was Abbe Lowell who put it for Hunter Biden on checking the box. All right, quote, he did check the boxes and he did sign the form. A question not on the past tense, but in the present tense, or what he thought on those key days. That gets to, you know, what's in his head. And now that will be the question in front of this jury. So you're betting hung jury, it sounds like.
I'm betting hung jury. I'm not necessarily betting acquittal or conviction, but I think there will be sympathy among the jurors. And then we get into whether, in fact, the special prosecutor will want to rebring the case. And I would think it would be doubtful that the case would be rebrought unless it's an 11-1 for conviction, for example.
If it's a hung jury, it usually takes a while, right? Is that fair? You know, as Joe says, they'll get the case pretty soon, but if there'll be some back and forth, if you're right.
Sure. There'll probably be a juror note at some point. They would ask the judge to give what's called an Allen charge, which is that you don't have to agree completely, you know, to the utmost certainty where the judge tries to facilitate some kind of verdict. But it could take a while.
Thanks so much for watching. Just go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.